So for some reason, my picture isn't coming up there. I don't know why that is. Anyone?
So let me take a look here. I just sent you an invite to start your video. This is Kyla, by the way. Hello. There you go. You're good to go.
Ah, magic. Thank you. I'll try to, there we go.
You're the best, Kyla.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy to help. No problem.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. John Deitz, Medical Director of Sports Medicine for WellSpan Health and Head Team Physician for the York Revolution. On behalf of all the members of our WellSpan and York Revolution family, I'd like to welcome you to week 2 of the relaunch of our Well Connected virtual series. Thank you all again for joining us. You know, last week we got started off with a great set of workouts and information. Beth Conway really set the table for our virtual series last week, and we started with a few sessions on nutrition. She did a phenomenal job. We pick it up from here this week, and we're really pumped to connect with you. This week's focus is mental health and how that affects athlete performance. Today's special guest is Ed Briarcheck, a licensed psychologist and state certified school psychologist. Ed works out of our WellSpan Philhaven Meadowlands facility as a therapist and has been a member of the autism diagnostic team. You know, Ed has been licensed for 42 years with WellSpan for the last 19. He's been interested in sports psychology all throughout his career, and on occasion he's done community presentations to students, parents, and coaches on various topics, including sports, wellness, and mental health. Ed has been an amateur athlete since high school in his running days, and he continues to work out, cycle, and kayak daily. Now, Ed's originally from Pittsburgh, and like me, he's an avid Steelers fan. So, Ed, this one's for you, buddy. Get my hat on. I'm ready to go today, and I can see over your shoulder. Is that Jack Ham or Jack Lambert?
Jack Lambert.
Jack Lambert.
And right next to him is Mr. Rooney and Roberto Clemente.
That's outstanding.
Fills out the list there. Yeah.
So right over my right shoulder, and I'm not gonna give everybody some vertigo by moving my screen too much. I have the legends, the Steelers Hall of Fame legends. So I have Bradshaw, Green, Franco, and Jack Ham. So you're in good company with Steelers fans. Sorry for you Ravens fans that are on our broadcast today. We're going to beat you up this year, whether you think we are or not.
I take it that's Zach Miller over there.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a
little bit. Okay.
A special shout out today to all our 2020 graduating seniors. It's been graduation week over the last week and this week here in South Central Pennsylvania. My daughter graduates from Dallastown later tonight. So a special shout out to those students and their teammates. We lost a spring season this year. And for all those of you that are continuing to play next year and the near year to come, please reach out to your senior teammates. Wish them well on their next endeavors in sports, in college, and in life. So before I turn it over with Ed, I just wanted to do some housekeeping items. We do want this session to be interactive. So if you would move your mouse and look to the bottom of your screen, there's a little Q&A session throughout the presentation. You can type in questions and Ed can review those with our team at the end. All right, so without further ado, we'll let Ed get started, and everybody who is not presenting, please go ahead and mute your mics on your or cell devices. Ed, fire away.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Deitch. Appreciate the opportunity to once again come and present. I know this gets to be a tired phrase for a lot of us, but these are very strange times that we live in. I spend a lot of my time working with young people as a therapist and counselor. And I can't say enough about how different this feels. Just the mere fact that we're doing sessions by Zoom is an adjustment for all of us. Prior to all of this change that we've had to go through, I've had young people in my office really for very traditional problems that you would think would bring someone to a therapist or a counselor around depression or anxiety. But all through my career, I've often had the opportunity to work with athletes who might be struggling a bit, not what I would call clinically depressed or terribly anxious, but rather maybe having a struggle from time to time. Probably the classic situation that I see are young people that might be experiencing an injury and long rehab, and then, of course, are away from their sport for a protracted period of time and might need support. And in that context, the kids that I've worked with, young people that I've worked with have been what I would really say, and I mean this, generally very healthy psychologically. I think athletes as a group are a remarkably resilient, strong people who are able to adapt to ever-changing circumstances. It's really the nature of sport, isn't it? To continually work towards a goal, experience some degree of frustration or even failure, adapt, reset your goals, and keep moving on. Well, if there's ever a time where that's being challenged, it's certainly this time. And I can only imagine what it's been like for many of you in having to let go of your season in the middle of the spring, and particularly for our seniors, not being able to come back and just finish it out, whether you were going to do anything in college or not, but just not having the kind of closure on your season, having that taken away, that's really a very hard thing to face and to deal with. So I bring all this up simply to say that given the circumstances that we're all kind of dealing with, we're all reframing, readjusting our lives, it would not be uncommon or unthought of if you were having, some, feelings that maybe you never really experienced before, be that frustration or anger or sadness, certainly, because I think this is, quite frankly, for a lot of people, there's some mourning going on here. There's some grieving going on because of what was lost and what wasn't finished. My point simply is that's all very normal and normalized, as it should be. And don't run from those feelings, because I think probably a lot of us are having similar feelings. Maybe you folks who are going through that loss of the season, perhaps more than anyone else. And part of what I'm going to talk about is maybe what to do with that, because I see it as, generally healthy, psychologically adjusted people dealing with a pretty unique, different, challenging, put whatever term you want on it, situation, and having to adjust and adapt. So, few things I'd like to go over today. And these are some things I just didn't want to talk about: mental health and, the practice of therapy and counseling. But I wanted to be able to share with you some ideas that might help you to work with your stress level, maybe help you to get reinvigorated, reframe your experience so that you can look ahead and maybe set new goals athletically and really in a broader way, on a personal level and in terms of perhaps college and career. Before I forget, because I always do this, I run out of gas at the end and I forget this. If you're interested in at all in reading about some of the topics that I'm going to discuss today, there's a really good website. It's the Association for Applied Sports Psychology, Association of Applied Sports Psychology. On there, it's sort of the go-to website and association for people like myself for professional resources. Point being that there are a number of excellent articles there that you might find interesting, and also is a website that actually talks about the sport of the career of sports psychology and how you might, if you have any interest in psychology, how you might want to get involved. But it's a good one to take a look at. Okay. One of the things you hear about a lot these days is something called mindfulness. In fact, it's really become part of our conversation. We talk about you got to be mindful of your decision making. It's entered thoughts like be mindful of your eating, be mindful of your comments to other people. So what does that really mean, and how does that apply to staying focused, staying centered, in the moment, and relative to sports performance? I'll give you a quick history. A psychologist by the name of John Kabat-Zinn, that's Jon Kabotzinn. If you're interested in mindfulness, he's the guru, and has worked a lot with sports medicine and medicine in general. But he was the person who pioneered the whole concept of mindfulness. And really what it comes down to, I mean, there's entire books written about this subject, courses, and really what it comes down to is more of an experiential type of learning. So what do I mean by that? It borrows from Eastern philosophy, although it's not a religion, but it borrows from the traditions of the Buddhists, and many people think of mindfulness as being associated with meditation. So why is that important? One of the things that we have found, and there is empirical scientific data to support this, that to the degree that we human beings are able to stay in the moment, to live in the here and now, the better our physical well-being and our psychological well-being can be. So let me give you a quick example, one is called, something called, the fancy term for it is called anticipatory anxiety. What's that mean? Well, anxiety comes from thinking about what might happen in the future, usually related to some type of performance situation. Now, I would be lying to you if I said to you, oh, I was just perfectly calm all day. I wasn't worried about this. I thought about this talk all day long. I anticipated and became anxious about how this might go. You know, I, like you, are very much, I'm very much interested in doing well and putting the best foot forward. So what do you do with that? When you get caught up in what I call future thinking, the anticipatory part of the anxiety, this is where mindfulness can be very, very helpful. So in mindfulness, it's, you know, for all the books that's written about it, it's such a simple topic and such a simple thing to do. It's simply a matter of taking a little bit of time, just setting a little bit of time. There's no time limit to it. It could be a minute or 2 minutes. It could be 45 minutes. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. And for example, now you can't see me in my shorts here, but trust me that I'm sitting with my feet flat on the floor. I've got my hands on my thighs, my knees. And I'm taking a nice deep breath and just slowly letting it go. Doing that once again and slowly letting it go. Now, I practice this every day, probably several times a day. I did it 2 or 3 times today because I knew I was anxious about this performance. Breathe in, hold it for a second, and slowly let it go. Now, for a lot of people, it lends itself to closing your eyes, which is fine. I tend to do that, but you don't really need to. The idea is to take and focus as much of your awareness on your breath, the feeling of the air going in and letting it out slowly. Now, you do this for whatever way is comfortable for you, but I like to breathe in through my nose, hold it for just a few seconds, and then gradually let that go. So what does that do? Physiologically, it is very difficult to maintain upper body tension if you start focusing on your breathing and you slow your breathing down. Secondly, if you're able to take and mentally focus on your breathing, Some might even call this a bit of a mantra. You probably have heard that term before. It simply is something that you're focused on. Breathing is the easiest one because we all do it. It's part of us. So it's easy to just focus on your breathing. And over time, you will find yourself slowly beginning to relax and become calmer. The other part to that, again, is we refocus mentally on our breathing. So why is that important? Well, if we're focused and we're thinking about our breathing, in all likelihood, we're not thinking about whatever it is that's bothering us, whatever it is that we're worried about, what we think might happen. You know, I see this a lot in athletes, particularly before performance situations, you know, a race, for example, you know, and the folks that I've worked with have often talked with them about, you know, using this technique to bring their anxiety level down. And what's cool about this, I think, is you can combine it with other forms. And it's kind of a continuum that we see with some of this stuff. You can combine it with other forms of mental training. So, for example, your stretching routine. You know, if you take and you stretch your quadricep, you know, as you put tension into that muscle, breathe in, hold it for your stretch, and then gradually let that go. In that case, you can focus either on your breathing or that muscle tension you might be feeling in that quadricep muscle. Again, the idea, your mental focus, the things that you're telling yourself are focused inward and not outward. And that has a very calming effect. If you take it another step further, and I know we have some yoga built into this series, which is wonderful. And if you think about yoga, some people call it a moving meditation or a moving mindfulness. So, you know, yoga can be as simple as, you know, going through a series of stretches, or it can also be an opportunity to work on some mental training where you become as in touch as possible with the internal stress that you're feeling inside your body, and coupled with deep breathing to be able to let that go. A technique that I like, it's sort of, we wouldn't call it yoga technique, but it's a form of what's called progressive relaxation. And you'll see the connection here through all of these, is a technique where, you know, let's say you're in a test situation and you're anxious about that test. Yeah, chances are you're not going to get up and do, you know, a sun salutation. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, you know, a yoga position and do the deep breathing. However, you could do what I call a mini form of progressive muscle relaxation, which you can combine with your breathing and, again, your mental imagery around what you're thinking and what you're hopefully working on, getting rid of what you're worried about and focusing again on the here and now. So in that technique, it's very, very straightforward. And what's nice about this is nobody needs to know you're doing it. I use it all the time at work. You know, if I'm in a meeting and I'm getting uncomfortable or even agitated, I'll do this. So what is that? I'm going to be a little artificial here. I'm going to raise my hand up. I take my thumb and my two fingers, and I may lay those in my lap or just to my side. And what I'll do is, again, I'll take and I'll breathe in deeply, not to the point of wanting to hurt anything, but just nice deep breath. And as I do that, I put a pressure point in between my thumb and these two fingers. And much like in the mindfulness exercise that I talked about a minute ago, I put a little pressure in here, hold my breath for a moment, and I focus my mental awareness up here. I focus my mental awareness on the tension between my fingers. Why does that help me? Because if I'm focusing on this physical stress, I'm not focusing on whatever anxiety that I'm feeling about what's coming up. So you breathe in, you hold it, not uncomfortably so, for a few seconds, and then slowly let it go. And you let those fingers completely relax. That reinforces that upper body tension relaxation response that we want to build as it's a skill. It's something that you can automatically employ whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're getting, just really uncomfortable about the situation that might be coming up. Okay. This will be my opportunity to plug our support group. I have a few other points I want to go over with you guys, but Dr. Mitchell Crawford and I are starting an 8-week support group starting on June 11th at 4 o'clock. If you go to the WellSpan Phil Haven main menu under events, there's a place there to register. It's free. It will be 8 sessions where I'll just go by Mitch. Mitch and I will be talking about things like mindfulness, goal setting, reframing, positive psychology, sports psychology, and as importantly, if not more so, giving our audience an opportunity to talk about, just how it's been for them going through the pandemic and the loss of the season and adjustments you've had to make in order to to be able to redefine yourself as an athlete. The group is for males and females, high school athletes essentially, between the ages of 14 and 17, and it's free, and free is good. You just need to go to that website. Again, it's WellSpan Phil Haven, main menu, events, and you'll see it there. Okay, a couple other points, and we'll get to the workout. One of the things that I think separates athletes from everybody else, and I like to think of myself as an athlete, obviously, in this way, is the degree of competitiveness we have, the degree of toughness, resilience, ability to deal with adversity. I've talked with some young people who have said, and again, this is relative to losing the season. I just don't feel like working out anymore. Where'd my motivation go? It's important to bring what you have been training perhaps for years to bear in this situation. And what I always try to say to people, a journey begins with one step, So rather than thinking about, I got to go back and get into all this training and working out, and what's the point? Look what happened. A lot of that negative thinking. You know, I like to reframe that into positive thoughts to say, you know, athletics has gotten me this far, and it's a strength, and it's a quality that I have that many others don't, and I'm going to apply it and use it as a strength and as a technique to get through these next several months where we just don't know, frankly, what might be coming down the path. So use that, you know, and if you're struggling with your motivation, just give yourself permission to do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You'll be amazed to just start again. And you're thinking about what will begin to change as you adapt and hopefully eventually accept whatever this so-called new normal people are talking about happens. One last point, and I'll get on with it. You know, the other piece that I think is really important, and this has been worrisome to me, frankly, as a therapist, both with working with athletes and also with folks who aren't athletes. You know, one of the things that this whole Zoom world has, I think, reinforced in some ways is our sense of personal isolation. You know, the reason I was involved in sports in high school wasn't because I was such a great runner. You know, I was just an average person. But what really brought me through was that sense of connection to my teammates. So I'm hoping that you're active in reaching out to other athletes, keeping in communication. Hopefully, as the weather gets better and, you know, we're able, and we go through these phases, we'll be able to get together, maybe in other kinds of sports that would be an opportunity actually to think about, oh, I could be try this. This is golf, for example. Just popped into my brain, but to try something that different, but bring your teammates along. It's so important to have that camaraderie. And if I can say this as well, you know, that's a point where if you're struggling, you know, who else would you reach out to? Obviously, you could reach out to parents or other trusted adults, but it's been my experience that, you know, young people, adolescent people tend to talk to other adolescent people before they come to us. But reach out. And if you think that there's somebody struggling, you know, if one of your teammates is, you know, not connected for a Zoom meeting, you know, or declines that offer to get together when we're able to do that, you know, take that extra time to reach out and find out how they're doing. You know, just that much alone, knowing that you're helping someone else does a whole lot for helping yourself through what is really a tough time. So I would hope that you would keep that in mind. And if you're, you know, if you find that you or maybe one of your friends are really struggling, there are resources in the community. WellSpan Philhaven is our behavioral health unit for the health system. I'm going to give you a phone number. Let me grab it here. Phone number is 1-800-932-0359. Say that again, 1-800-932-0359. That is our access number. You certainly can call if you think you have a friend that's struggling, you want to talk. They can help you with that. Or if you yourself are struggling, you know, there is the access number, although I, as a parent, you know, would strongly encourage you to reach out to your parents, you know, and it takes courage to do that. And if you need help, to go get it. Holding things in about this or other problems that may have been exaggerated because of the virus situation is never a good thing. It always goes somewhere, always goes somewhere. So please reach out or let one of us know in sports medicine or behavioral health side, and we'll do our best to give you guidance and direction. Okay, one last one, and I think I've said that 3 times now. The last one, though, I like apps on the phone. Most people do. And I did a bit of research over the weekend. I have 2 recommendations for you. One is called Headspace. You may have heard about it. It's been, I've seen it advertised recently on television. It's a really good app to learn basic mindfulness techniques and relaxation techniques. So give that it's free. I have it on my phone, Headspace. And a similar one, I think, does pretty much the same thing, is simply called Calm, C-A-L-M, Calm. You might want to give that a shot too. Because these will be guided meditations, meaning you put your earbuds in and they'll take you through and work you through with the breathing and all that kind of stuff. Some folks just really respond better to that than just simply sitting and listening to nothing. It's like, why am I here? So give that a try if you're interested in the whole mindfulness meditation subject. Okay, I think that's it, Zach. I don't know if I have questions. Glad to answer a few. And
Yeah, I certainly have one for you. I know, I'm glad you mentioned the Headspace, because I have that app on my phone. Great app to use, definitely. And I like the little quick breathing technique that you just did with us. I think when I think about sports and basketball being my sport, I think of maybe using those deep breathing techniques to help out, like physically, like you're stepping up at the foul line. So using that deep breathing to slow your heart rate and get yourself prepared physically. But I think, could you elaborate maybe a little more on mentally the benefits of, in a situation like that, running through some of that deep breathing techniques and just how to prepare yourself mentally for that?
okay, well, there's an extension to this, which would be using imagery, which could be guided imagery, but imagery nonetheless. So let me give you, it's best if I gave you an example. I like to whitewater kayak. And it's easy to get pretty anxious about coming up on maybe a class 3 or class 4 type of rapid, which are kind of on the more severe side. Even if you've done it, a dozen times before, because you don't know, how that's going to turn out. The boat might flip over, you might get off track or whatever. So what I'll do, because we go as a group, I always let somebody else go first, but while I'm waiting, I will sit there and I will do the muscle tension, muscle relaxation thing. I'll get my breathing under control. Most importantly, I will go through the imagery of going through the paddle strokes necessary to get through that particular rapid. Now, that's easy if I've seen it before, and if I haven't, we always scout. And I will always get out of the boat, take a look, see where the rough spots are, where we need to get through, and I'll mentally visualize myself working my way down through the rapid. So again, while I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, I get myself calmed down, I get myself centered, and I use that imagery. I mean, I might just close my eyes while I'm waiting there and watch myself go through that. Because there is some empirical data that suggests that the more you're able to visualize success and visualize you're handling that adversity, the more likely it is that you're going to have a successful outcome to it. Again, it's all about staying in the moment. And that's certainly true with, well, practically all sports, but certainly the scenario that you described. So it's the idea of getting centered, thinking your way through it, and then executing.
I love it. I love that answer. I love the imagery application too. I think one more time, we're talking about mindfulness. You said the guru to look up if you were interested in books or whatnot. Can you say that name one more time?
Sure, it's John, Jon, Cabot, Kabot, Zinn, Zinn.
Sounds good.
Yeah, there's tons of books out there, and I'm sure would be links for mindfulness for athletes, but he's probably the most well-recognized and scientifically based researcher that there is out there. Good place to start.
Sounds good. Dr. Deitch, you have anything to add before we start the workout?
I would just say, Zach, the similar thing with sports performance came to my mind. As a baseball guy, I think about that deep breath before you step into the batter's box, or the breath before you're going to throw a pitch. And coming up with routines and techniques that you use in those moments to prepare for what you need to do prior to a play, prior to an at-bat, prior to a free throw. I mean, those are absolutely key. And for those of you that don't have those routines, I think it makes a great point. They're important, very important to develop those routines to allow you to relax, focus, and then do your best. Ed, I'd like to just ask you along those same lines. I think one of the things that athletes are a little bit anxious about right now is staying sharp. Staying sharp for that next season. Are there some games you might recommend, or does it go back to that imagery again, or the 5 minutes of a routine? What do you say to athletes who are saying, my biggest concern right now is I need to stay sharp and I can't stay sharp? What would you tell them?
Well, two things. One would be, not to discount the, it's going to sound, I'll just say, not to discount the strength of muscle memory. I think part of that comes from, the worry that I'm going to lose my skills and not get that back. I find, that generally not to be the case. So it's a question of having confidence in yourself that, yeah, it might be a little rough start to get that going again, but in all likelihood, it's going to come back. But to answer more of your question, actually, I think video games are an excellent way to keep sharp. We as adults kind of reel against, spending too much time on screen time. But I think there's a lot to be said for engaging in some of the highly competitive games. If for no other reason, it keeps you in the moment. Those games allow you to learn rapid decision making and help you to stay competitive and mentally sharp, which are just those same mental skills that you would execute in a baseball game or on the river or on the basketball court. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's everything in moderation, of course.
Yeah, so for the parents in the background that might be listening over their athletes' shoulders, you want to put some parameters on maybe time per day? Is it like maybe the amount of time you'd spend in a game or in a practice? Video, what are you recommending for young people?
I would say no more than 2 hours. That would be the high end, more like an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the other thing, Dr. Deitch, there is something to be said for trying out other sports too. And, I used the example of golf, but, there are other ways to be competitive besides the sport of your own choice. I mean, that you're most familiar with. So I think there's a lot to be said for trying out something new. Tennis is another one that would come to my mind.
Yeah, as a guy who is really, really concerned about sports specialization in our youth and overuse, overload, overexertion type injuries from doing the same sport more than 9 months a year, this actually has been a healthy break in some ways. An opportunity for individuals to try some different sports, to develop some alternative routines, and maybe find something else that they love that they can carry forward, beyond the next few years, even into lifelong endeavors. Golf is a great example of that.
Well, and I would even say, I'm an ex-runner. I ran for, 30 years, and before, I just couldn't do that anymore, and want to stay active and athletically healthy, and I moved over to cycling. And I'm out 4 days a week now and enjoy it just as much as the running. So there's adaptations you can make. You have to do a little research and give it a try.
Ed, we can't thank you enough for your time today and for your phenomenal care of our athletes and the young people of our community. And we will touch on the end, again, how to reach out to you and our team at WellSpan Philhaven, as well as give you some more information to sign up for the support group that will start on June 11th. So Ed, with that, thank you very much. We'll turn things over to Zach Miller for our workout today. Everybody, remember, we've got three additional sessions this week. Tomorrow is our coaches session. Ed will be back with some more detailed information for our coaches and practices and helping their athletes be mentally strong through COVID and beyond. And we'll follow up with workouts both Wednesday and Friday this week. So Zach, on to our Monday workout. You ready?
I'm ready. All right, and hopefully everybody at home's ready. All you need for this workout is a bench or a chair, something to do some step-ups on, and some other exercises. So get a bench or a chair ready. We'll start with our normal dynamic warm-up. We'll go right into 4 rounds of our exercises, and then end with our cool down. We got about 30-minute workout. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get right to it.
Hey guys, my name is Sean O'Malley. I was a senior at York Catholic High School. I plan on going to Penn State Maine University to study in pre-med, and I was involved in track and soccer throughout my high school experience.
Hey guys, I'm Anthony Brown. I went to York Suburban, and now I'm going to SUNY ESF, and I'm going to continue my basketball career. And while in high school, I played volleyball, soccer, and basketball.
Hi everybody, it's Zach Miller with WellSpan Sports Medicine. We have Sean and Anthony with us today, and they're going to take us through our workout today, where the only prop you will need is a chair or a bench, and we got 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. We got 4 rounds, 4 exercises per round, and of course we're going to start with our movement prep, dynamic warm-up. We'll go through the workout, and then of course end with the always important cool down. So, here we go. Let's start 30 seconds of jumping jacks. Go for it. Go ahead, nice and controlled. Get those hands up nice and high. Finish strong. Three, 2, 1, good. Now we got our inchworms. We're going to walk it out. So going down nice and controlled. Go for it. Stretch those hamstrings out. Walk it out. Dropping down to your stomach. Flip those feet over. Press it up. Stretch that lower back. There you go. And then come and walk it all the way back up. to your feet. Nice control. Embrace that good stretch in the hamstrings on the way back up too. Good, right back down. Control it on the way out. Down to your chest. Press it up. Feel that good stretch. Good, walk it back. Feel that good stretch on the way back up as well. Good. You got 3 more of those. Good, 2 more. Good, last one, make it your best one. Control down, stretch it out. Good, press it through the hands. Control coming back up. Good, let's go down into our hands and knees. We got our thoracic rotation. Good, hands right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going up and twisting to the side. Eyes follow that hand. Feel that good stretch in the lower back. Good, coming back down. Thread the needle, passing it through. Touch that shoulder to the ground if you can. There you go. Good, right back up. Same thing. Got 4 more of those. Good. 4. Nice and controlled the whole time. If you're feeling a stretch in the shoulder, you're probably doing too much. Make sure you're trying to stretch through that mid-back. Good. Last one, make your best one. Good stretch, thread the needle coming down. Here we go, switch sides. Good. There you go. Good, 3 more. Last one, make your best one. Open up, stretch through that mid-back, control it coming down. Touch that shoulder to the ground if you can. There you go. Stay in that position. You're going to kick one leg out to the side from the kneeling position. Good. Try and sit up nice and tall. Make sure your toes are pointing forward. That looks good. And from there, we're going to rock it back. Feel like you're going to sit back onto your heel. Then power it up coming forward. Squeeze through the hips on the way up. Good. Coming down, power it up. There's 2. 3, good. 2 more. 4, 1 more. Good, switch sides. Good, feel that good adductor stretch in the groin. There's 1, 2, 3, 2 more. 4, make the last one your best one. Sit it back, strong coming up. Good, right into our 90-90s. So, sitting on our butts. Give yourself some room here. Good. Legs shoulder width apart. We're going to start going to our left. So, rocking to the left. Trying to get those legs in a 90-degree angle. That looks good. Rocking back the other way. Use the hands if you need to, especially for the first couple, till you get to loosen up a little bit. Good. Going back to the other side. Try and turn that shoulder, try and get yourself facing forward. Good, rocking back the other way. Looks good. Keep it going. Switch, yep. Rock it back to the right. So let's do 1 more each side. Sit into it this time, sit up tall, get that spine vertical. Feel that good stretch, good. Coming back to the right. Stretch it out nice and tall, stick that chest out. Good, there you go. All right, then top up. We're going right into the dynamic warm-up. We got arm circles. Just 10 forward. Good, switch, go in reverse. There you go, nice and controlled. Get that shoulder joint warmed up. Good, we're going to basically some calf raise, but we're gonna get a little rock to it. So pressing up through the toes, then rock it back, pull those toes up off the ground. Good. Up, pull up through those toes. There you go. Good. There's 5, we got 5 more. 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one, make your best one up tall. Good job. All right, let's spread out. Opposite sides, we're going through Frankenstein walks. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Tap. Good. Switch it out. There you go. Good. Same thing coming back. Let's go opposite arm, opposite legs. Good. We got our hamstring scoops. One foot's coming out in front. Pull that toe up. Rock it down, scoop it through. Feel that good hamstring stretch coming up through the back of the leg. That looks good. Same thing coming back. How you guys feeling?
Good, pretty good.
Getting loose?
Stretched out, yeah.
All right, walking lunge with a twist over our front foot. So big step out. Twist over our front foot, control it, good, and switch. Looks good. Of course, making sure our knee doesn't go way out in front of our toes, keeping everything in line. Same thing coming back. There you go, finish strong. Good job. All right, we're gonna challenge that balance a little bit. This is our single leg deadlift, so you guys can face the camera, good. Still, whichever leg we wanna start with. We're gonna extend out, hinge through the hips, reach out if you can. Good, coming back up, knee to chest. Good, stretch at the top. That's all right. If you lose your balance, that's completely fine. Right back into it. Good, airplanes coming out. Knee to chest coming back up. Good, right back into it. Keep that balance. Squeeze that glute on the leg you're standing with. That'll help you keep your balance. We got 2 more. Out, lock it in. Knee to chest at the top. Good, 1 more, make it your best one. Good job, switch legs. You may notice that you have one side that feels stronger than the other or is more balanced. That just lets you know what you gotta spend some time working on to correct it. Good, if you can, feel like you're gonna try and keep those hips level as you go into this position. Try and keep the hips level so you're not opening up too much. That looks good. 1 more. Good job, guys. How you feel? Nice and warmed up?
Yeah.
Ready for the workout?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're ready for our 40-20 workout. We got 4 rounds, 4 exercises a round, 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. All you need is a bench or a chair, and we're ready to roll. All right, workout starting in 10 seconds. Get in position. We're starting with our squats. So tapping that butt down onto the chair. 2, 1, go. You got it, nice and controlled. Pressing through those heels. When you come down, don't let those heels come up off the ground. You want to press through those heels the whole time. Legs shoulder width apart. Looks good. Keep it up. Halfway there. On the first exercise, you got this. Good, guys, finish strong.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good, next one, we're gonna lay down in front of the bench. You can do it right here. Yeah, you're good. Just lay out that one. Good, we're doing some elevated bridges. So legs bent, and you're gonna press up through those hips. You can put your heels up on the bench here, good. Just 3, 2, 1, pressing those hips up towards the sky, control it coming down. Good, nice, slow and controlled the whole time. When you get up to the top, lock that position in place, tighten that core, tighten those glutes, control it coming down. That looks good. Keep it up.
Halfway.
Try and keep those feet pointing straight up towards the sky. Keep those toes pointing towards the sky rather than rolling out. There you go. Evenly push through both legs. Finish strong.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good. Hopping back up to our feet. We got our step ups. So nice and controlled coming up, stepping right back down. Let's come to the side. There you go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Good. We're on 20 seconds, go with the same leg the whole time, and then we'll switch halfway. There you go, get those arms involved. Good, yeah, as you come up. There it goes. Arm nice and tall at the top. Looks good, keep it up. Finish strong.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good. Take 20-second rest. We got incline push-ups next. So, you stay on that side. We got incline push-ups going to hands down on the bench, repping out some normal push-ups that way. If those are too difficult, you can always drop down to the knees.
2, 1, go.
Nice, slow and controlled the whole time. We got 40 seconds, so don't tire yourself out right off the bat. Good form, core staying engaged. Good. If you're starting to feel fatigued, you can stop and hold it in that position. Let your muscles relax for a second. Keep it up, boys. Doing good. Finish strong. Push it.
3,
2, 1.
rest.
Go. We got 1 minute break. One-minute break here, grab a drink, then we're rolling right into round two. Round two, we got squat jumps, then we got single leg elevated bridges, lateral step ups this time, and round two of the incline push-ups. All right, 10 seconds left on our rest. Let's get in position. We got squat jumps to start off round two.
3,
2, 1, go. Good. Focus on form the whole time. Land soft. Good. You got it. You got it. That's fine. Gain composure. Good. Think soft landing. If you're hearing a loud thumping when you land, try and control it. Sit into it. Use those strong hips to help you out. Good, guys. Finish strong.
3, 2, 1.
Good job. Down into the bridge position on our backs. We're going single leg this time. So get in that position. We're going knee to chest. The leg that's not up. Perfect. And when we're ready, we're going right up into single leg bridges.
3,
2, 1.
go.
Oh, good. Pressing through the feet. Squeezing those hips at the top, locking in at the top. Good, make sure you're keeping that toe pointed straight up towards the sky. If it wants to roll out to the side, try and fight that. Looks good. We're gonna switch halfway, go ahead and switch. Right back into it with that other side, good. Make those hamstrings work. Finish strong, keep it up.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good. 20 seconds rest. Next we got lateral step ups. So we're going from the side, power up, lock this position at the top, control coming down, right back into it. Again, get those arms involved. 2, 1,
Go.
go, good. We got 20 seconds, then we're gonna switch legs. Good, really try and lock that position out at the top. That looks good. Good, keep it up. Halfway, we're switching.
Halfway there.
There you go, switch legs. Make sure that whole foot is on the bench, good. There you go, looks good guys, control it the whole time.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good, catch your breath, good, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And we're going round, last another set of our push-ups, our incline push-ups then. Again, pace yourself. Start nice and slow and control. That way you can finish strong.
1, go.
Good, let's see it. There you go. Form looks good. Elbows standing towards the side. You don't want them to flare out wide. Keep those elbows tucked in. Squeeze those shoulder blades down and back. Looks good, guys.
Halfway there.
If you're struggling with that at home, don't hesitate to drop down to your knees. Make it a little easier on yourself. Finish strong, guys. Push it, you got it.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good job, we got 1 minute rest right into round 3.
Zach, could you take a minute to talk us through some push-up variations?
All right, some push-up variations. So I think thinking from beginner to harder, obviously if you're struggling with those, make sure you just drop down to your knees. That way you can focus on form and nice control. And I think as you're doing these push-ups, make sure you're keeping those elbows in nice and tight. A lot of times you see people doing push-ups and those elbows be flared out, way out to the side. Sometimes that can put your body in an awkward position. So I'd say start with the knees down. If then you can advance to just an incline push-up, kind of like we did there, or a wall push-up, and then progress to a normal push-up. But yeah, focus on those elbows would be my biggest key.
Thanks, Zach.
10 seconds, get ready. We're starting with our rear foot elevated split squats. We got 1 foot back on the bench.
3, 2, 1.
Maybe hop forward a little, just so when you come down, that knee's not coming down. Maybe hop forward 1 more step, good. That way when you come down, that knee's not coming out past the toes. Good, nice and controlled. Don't worry about how deep you're going right now. Just worry about controlling the movement. Making sure you're letting that, go ahead and switch. Go 1 small step forward, hop forward, there you go. Make sure that knee is tracking over the toes, make sure it's not turning in too much.
3,
2, 1, good job. All right, 10 seconds to our next exercise. We got our bridges, so hop down on the ground. We're going straight leg this time. So, you have both legs on the bench, legs straight.
1, go.
Power through those hips, lock it out at the top. Squeeze the core, squeeze those hips at the top. Lock it in for a second, good. Let's rest that head down. Good, there you go. Relax that neck a little bit. Looks good. Keep it up.
Halfway there.
Good. Again, make sure those toes are facing straight out towards the ceiling. Don't let them turn out to the side. Equally pressing through both legs, same amount of pressure. 2, 1. You're gonna stay in that position while you rest, because the next one we got our crunches. So scoot a little closer towards the bench. That looks good. Knees at 90 degrees or close to it. And when we do it, we're gonna start normal crunches coming up. Make sure you're not pulling on your neck.
1, go.
Good, there you go. Either crossing the arms or right behind the ears. There you go, pace yourself. We got 40 seconds, nice and controlled the whole time. Looks good. Again, relax that neck. Try not to press it forward.
Halfway there.
Finish strong, boys. Looking good. Keep it up.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good, you can hop up from that position. You got 20 seconds of rest, and then we're going into our tricep dips. I got you here. So tricep dips, right on the edge of the bench, hands on the bench here, nice control coming down, strong pressing up at the top.
3, 2,
Go for it.
1, go.
Good, locking those elbows out the top, give those triceps a good extra squeeze. Looks good. If you need a little bit more of a challenge, you can straighten those legs out. That'll make it a little harder. There you go, I like it. If that's too hard, keep those knees bent up. If you need even more work, you can try and lift one leg up. What do you guys got? There you go, fight it, finish strong. Good work, finish.
3,
2, 1.
rest.
Good job, good. 1 minute rest, then we got round 4.
Good, last minute rest. Then we got round 4, last round. We're gonna start with those rear foot elevated split squats again. One of my favorite exercises you can do. If they weren't extremely challenging for you at home, you can add a little hop with it, which we will do this round in the video. Then we got straight leg elevated bridges. We're throwing single leg this time. And we got our leg elevated crunches. We're gonna add a twist to it this time. And some step ups into a little bit of a runner stance. So get yourself ready. You got 20 seconds left, and we'll finish this last round strong.
All right, game position, last 10 seconds of rest. We got our rear foot elevated split squats again. 20 seconds each leg.
3, 2, 1, go.
Good, nice and controlled. And we're gonna challenge these guys with a little hop here. Nice controlled. Try and land in that same footprint if you're throwing the hop in there. And control that landing on the way back down. There you go, I like it. You guys can handle it.
Halfway there.
Good, switch. Good, finish strong. You got it, push through it, guys.
2, 1.
Last one. Good. Take a break, take a break. We're going down on the ground, we got our bridges. We're going straight leg again, now we're going single leg. So opposite knee coming up towards that chest. That looks good. 2, 1, go. Pressing through the hips, locking it at the top. Lock that position in, good. Don't rush through these, nice and slow and controlled. Good job relaxing that head down, that looks good. Good, fight that foot from wanting to turn in. There you go.
Halfway there.
Switch, right into it. Good, you guys got it. Keep it up. Finish strong.
3, 2, 1, rest.
Good, we're gonna stay in that position. We're just gonna slide a little closer to the bench. We got our crunches. This time we're gonna throw a little twist with it. So, feel like you're going towards that opposite knee. We're alternating, one to the left, one to the right.
2, 1, go.
Good. Don't worry about how high you're getting up, just worry about controlling that movement, keeping that core engaged to protect that back. Looks good, no pulling on that head. You gotta fight through it. This is a tough one.
Halfway there.
If you're struggling with this at home, just go right back into the normal crunches. Good, fight that burning glass. Finish strong, finish strong. You got it.
3,
Keep it up. 2, 1. Good, good job. Take a break. Last one, we're gonna hop up. We got our step ups. Last exercise, we got this. Finish strong. Step ups into a runner lunge. So as you step up, lock that position in place. Get ready, get in position.
2, 1, go.
Same leg for 20 seconds. You can leave that foot up on the bench. Good. Lock that position in at the top. Right back down. Boom. Good. Last exercise. You guys got it. Finish strong. We're switching right into it. No waste of time. Boom. Good. Last 20 seconds. Doing good, guys. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Take a quick break, then we're getting into our cool down.
Good workout. We'll finish with our cool down here. Let's focus on, you'll mention me talk about some of that deep breathing. So Ed just talked about it with us. So as you're going through these stretches, make sure you're controlling that breathing. Think in through the nose, out through the mouth. And let's slow that heart rate back down.
Sorry. All right, we have our cool down. We're gonna start with our little yoga flow, our downward dog to the prone press up into the child's pose. So I'll let these guys show us how it's done. We're gonna walk it out to the push-up position. Then pull it back into downward dog. Good, just hold that stretch there for a second. Press those heels down. Good, rocking it forward into the prone press up. Press through those hands, extend through that back. Good, then rock it back into child's pose. Good, feel that good stretch. Good, we got 2 more of those. So bring it forward. We're going pressing up into the downward dog. Sit those hips up and back. Press those heels into the ground. Good. Walking it forward. Prone press up. Good stretch. Open up the spine. And rocking it back into the child's pose. Good, good job. You're taking that good deep breath. Good, one more time. Downward dog, feel that good stretch. Control that breathing. I like it. In through the mouth, or in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good, rock it down into the prone press up. Last one, sit it back into the child's pose. Good, sit up there. We're gonna kick one foot out in front for our pigeon pose. Good, use those hands to help you out, especially if you don't have that flexibility in the hips. If you need a little help, you could always throw a pillow underneath your hips there to give you a little more support. Try not to bounce too much. Nice and controlled. Good, let's switch. Good, sit that straight leg back, or the back leg straight back. deep breaths. Good, let me get one more good deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good, we're going to our hip flexor stretch. So go into that lunge position. One leg out in front. Good, sitting up nice and tall. Tuck those hips underneath you like you're tucking that pelvis. Should feel that good stretch in the back leg. And then arms up overhead. And we're gonna stretch over that front foot. I'm gonna have you come to the left. Yeah, Rashad, there you go. Feel that good stretch, good deep breathing. 2 more good deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good, sink into that stretch a little deeper on your last breath here. Good job, let's switch it out. Good, making sure you're not getting that knee out past the toes. Tuck those hips up underneath you. Good, good deep breathing. 2 more good deep breaths. 1 more, sink into that stretch, a little deeper on your exhale. Good job. Good, all right, we're going right into that pretzel stretch. So we're gonna sit down on our back, lay down on our backs. Good, we're going right leg first. So right knee coming up, fall to the left, pull down with that left arm, right leg, or left leg coming back, grab it with the right arm, you got it. And sink down into that stretch, pressing that right shoulder into the ground. Good deep breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Sink down there, go. 1 more good deep breath. On exhale, sink into that stretch a little deeper. Good, switch. Good, left leg coming up. Let it fall to the right. Pull the bottom leg back. If you can, good. Stretch through that mid back. There you go, that looks good. 3 good deep breaths. Good. Last one, in through the nose. Exhale, fall into that stretch. And relax, good, come back to the middle. Perfect, Zach. Last one we got, we're gonna stretch out our chest and our shoulders. We're trying to reverse prayer stretch. So trying to touch those hands together in the back. Try and press those palms together if you can. I know that's tough. And we're gonna hold that position. Stick that chest out a little bit, stretch that chest out. Let's do a couple neck circles here. Just soft control rolls. Good, switch directions. Good, open that chest up 1 more time. Good deep breath in. Exhale. Good work.
All right, everybody, good workout. We got, so Wednesday this week, when we come back for another workout, will be, all you need is a wall space. So give yourself some room by a wall, and that's basically all the equipment you'll need for a workout on Wednesday. Dr. Deitch got some finishing statements for us here.
Oh, thank you very much. Another great workout, Zach. Hey, I did that one with the kids, so
I love it.
before I take off for graduation. So great job. We're all working together here. We just want to remind you, our whole team at WellSpan Sports Medicine is here with you through COVID and beyond. This whole series is all about us connecting with you, helping you support you in any way you need it. I wanted to jump back just to Ed's talk and remind you of a couple things. First of all, our WellSpan Sports Medicine Athlete Support Group. And let me pull up our our web address for that offering. Again, we would need you to register for that offering as well at wellspan.org/events, EVENTS, and type in Student Athlete Support Group in the left-hand column keywords. That will take you to the support group. And for this series, as you mentioned, we've got 2 more workouts this week. Prior to those workouts, we have a coaches session tomorrow when Ed is back with us. And as I had said last week, there is nothing better than having a workout partner. I think, Ed, you'll second that. We love to work together. You're able to push each other. So whether that's a sibling, a teammate, or a group of teammates and friends, parents, we want to get everybody to get up, get moving, and be ready for the seasons to come. Zach, Ed, Jess, anything in closing?
I just say a big shout out to Sean LaValle and Anthony Brown for putting us through that good workout.
So with that, thank you to everybody that was on today. We look forward to seeing you later in the week. Have a great night.